Have you ever felt the moment your reality slipped? Not a thought, not a coincidence. A shift, subtle but undeniable, like the universe blinked and you were the only one who noticed. At 2:19 a.m., in a silent apartment outside Chicago, a woman named Emily sat alone on her couch, eyes tired, mind numb, scrolling through the same recycled noise of the world, when the air around her suddenly changed. The refrigerator hum cut out, the street lights outside flickered, and for exactly 1 second, gravity felt softer, like the room inhaled her. The shadows on the wall twisted, pixelated, and the entire living room bent, just slightly, as if reality were updating itself. Her heartbeat stalled, her breath caught, and then everything snapped back. Lights steady, air normal, silence swallowing the moment whole. She could have brushed it off. She could have told herself she was tired. But then the numbers started appearing. 1, 11, 2, 22, 3:33. Again, again, again. Her dreams shifted into places she had never been, until she walked into one of them at a coffee shop she'd never visited. Her intuition sharpened, cutting through conversations before they happened. Strangers repeated sentences she had just thought, and deep inside her chest, something ancient whispered a truth she had spent her entire life avoiding. Reality was not what she believed, and neither was she. If you've ever felt like the world is subtly constructed, like there is a script running underneath everything, like the timing of your life is too perfect to be random, like your emotions create patterns you can't logically explain, then you are not imagining it. You are remembering it. Because this, right here, this exact moment you're listening to these words, is part of a larger pattern unfolding through your quantum consciousness. You didn't click on this video. Your field pulled you into it. Your vibration matched it. Your subconscious mind collapsed it into your timeline. People who find content like this aren't curious. They're awakening. They're the ones who feel the pulse beneath the surface of life, the ones who sense the hidden reality moving behind events, the ones who know there is a structure, a code, a frequency, shaping their existence. Maybe you've felt the surge in your chest when something is about to happen. Maybe you've noticed the universe answering you before you finish the question. Maybe you've lived moments where the world responds to your emotion more than your action. These are not accidents. These are symptoms of remembering that your mind is not confined to your skull, that your consciousness extends beyond your body, that you are entangled with a field of infinite possibilities that responds to every thought, every emotion, every shift in your frequency. Your life has been whispering to you, through synchronicities, through already seen, through those moments of silence where your soul speaks louder than your logic. And now, right now, you stand at the doorway between your old identity and the version of you that can finally see through the veil. Because today we're going deeper into the mechanism that shapes your fate, the architecture of the quantum field, the hidden blueprint your subconscious follows, the truth behind the glitches, the signs, the repeating patterns you keep experiencing. And once you understand what's actually happening beneath the surface of your life, once you see how your consciousness has been communicating with you, once you realize you are never separate from the intelligence that designs your reality, you'll feel the shift again. But this time, you'll know exactly what it means. And as you begin to notice these shifts more often, as the patterns become clearer, you'll realize that awakening isn't a dramatic explosion. It's a quiet alignment, a steady remembering, a returning to what you've always been connected to. This journey is not about believing blindly. It's about observing your own experience with a new level of awareness. Everything we'll explore from here on, your subconscious patterns, your vibrational signatures, the architecture of the quantum field, will only expand the clarity you're already feeling right now. And before we move forward, I'd like to ask you something simple, intentional, and completely grounded. If this message is resonating with you in any way, if it feels like it's putting words to things you've sensed your entire life, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing what part of your journey brought you here. Not out of hype, not out of obligation, but because your engagement is what keeps this space alive. Videos like this often disappear into the noise unless the community lifts them. When you interact, you're not just supporting the channel, you're helping more people who are searching for these same answers finally find them. This is how we expand together. This is how a real conscious community grows. One signal amplifying another until the message reaches exactly who needs it. So leave your mark below, add your voice to this field, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't lose this thread. There's much more to uncover. And in the next video, we're going to go even deeper into the mechanism that connects your thoughts, your emotions, and the reality you step into every day. For now, stay aware. The field is already responding. That next layer is where things stop feeling theoretical and start feeling personal. When you begin to notice how your mood seems to bend events, how a single thought can change the coincidences that show up in your day, you're not just having a weird phase. You're glimpsing quantum consciousness in action. Your perception is no longer limited to what your five senses report. It starts to register the subtle shifts in energy, the way your frequency rises and falls, and how that vibration quietly rearranges the people, places, and possibilities around you. The so-called glitch in the matrix stops being just a meme and becomes a mirror. Every disturbance, every synchronicity, every déjà vu reflects a hidden reality that has been here all along, waiting for you to wake up enough to see it. This is the early stage of a spiritual awakening, when the old story of who you are and what reality is begins to crack. Not because you're broken, but because your expansion of consciousness no longer fits inside it. In that space, your subconscious mind is not your enemy. It is the operating system translating the quantum field into your everyday life. The beliefs you never questioned, the emotions you suppressed, the images you rehearse in silence. All of that is code. Change the code, and the interface of your life starts to change with it. That's why conversations like this matter. They give language to what your soul has been whispering for years. You are not a passive observer in a dead mechanical universe. You are an active participant in a living field of energy, and your choices, your attention, your inner frequency, shape how that field collapses into experience. If this feels like truth you've been circling for a long time, I want to invite you, calmly and consciously, to support this space. Take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments what you've been noticing in your own reality. Not as a favor, but as an act of coherence. Your engagement strengthens this community, helps the algorithm surface content about quantum consciousness and awakening instead of more noise, and creates a network of people who are done pretending they don't feel what they feel. When you interact, you're saying, I'm here, I see this, I'm part of this field. Stay with me, because in the next part we're going to step even closer to the core, into how your inner state, your stories, and your vibration silently script the simulation you walk through every single day, and what begins to happen the moment you dare to change that script. What begins to happen the moment you dare to change that script is easier to see when we zoom out and look at what science itself is starting to confess. For most of human history, we were told a simple story. This physical world is solid, matter is fundamental, consciousness is just a side effect of a brain made of atoms. But when physicists pushed deeper into those atoms, the solidity dissolved. They didn't find tiny hard balls. They found fields, probability waves, invisible patterns of information. At the quantum level, reality behaves like a cloud of possibilities that only becomes real when something observes it. That's the observer effect, and it quietly challenges everything we thought we knew about what is primary, matter or mind. Then came ideas like the holographic universe, the suggestion that everything you experience as three-dimensional space might actually be encoded on a distant boundary, like a cosmic hologram. In that view, the room you're in right now, the sky, your own body, could be projections of deeper information written into the quantum field. Add to that the perspective of researchers like Donald Hoffman, who argue that your perception is not a camera showing you objective reality, but a kind of interface, a symbolic layer your mind subconsciously generates so you can survive, not so you can see the truth. Suddenly, the idea of a hidden or occult reality beneath appearances is no longer just mystical language. It fits what some of our best models are hinting at. Put this together, and a different picture emerges. The universe might be holographic. Your everyday perception might be a simulation-like interface. Your consciousness might be as fundamental as space, time, and energy, not an afterthought. In that light, your quantum consciousness, your emotional vibration, your inner frequency, and the programs in your subconscious mind are not small, private things. They are part of the way reality itself chooses which version of the movie to play for you. A spiritual awakening, then, is not escaping reality. It is expanding your consciousness enough to see the code you've been unconsciously running. If this way of seeing reality resonates with something deep in you, I invite you, calmly and consciously, to support this work. Take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments how your perception of the quantum field and this hidden reality has been shifting. Your engagement isn't just numbers on a screen, it's how we strengthen this field of awareness, how we make sure conversations about consciousness creates reality don't vanish under the algorithm's noise. When you interact, you help other people in the middle of their own awakening find this space too. Stay with me, because in the next part we're going to move from theory into your lived experience. How your thoughts, emotions, and energy interact with the field moment by moment, and what begins to unfold when you start testing this for yourself. Because the moment you begin rewriting that inner code, the interface you call life has no choice but to respond. And this is where the simulation stops feeling abstract and starts feeling painfully intimate. You don't need a quantum lab to see it. Just look at the repeating patterns in your relationships, your finances, your self-worth, your emotional cycles. They form a map of the subconscious mind you've been carrying since childhood. Your consciousness interacts with the quantum field through vibration, through the emotional frequency you embody without realizing it. And that is why the same experiences keep looping until something inside you shifts. The reality occulta behind your daily life isn't punishing you, it's reflecting you. It's mirroring the beliefs you absorbed when you were too young to question them, the traumas you tried to forget, the fears your nervous system adapted to as a form of protection. When you feel unlovable, the field mirrors distance. When you feel unsafe, the world feels threatening. When your subconscious holds the imprint of scarcity, opportunities slip through your fingers no matter how hard you push. It's not fate, and it's not failure. It's the interface responding to your internal data. Every abandonment, every disappointment, every shutdown in your chest becomes part of your vibration, and that vibration continuously shapes your perception. The simulation hurts not because it is cruel, but because the programs running in the background were never updated. They freeze you into an old identity long after your conscious mind is ready to grow. Think again about the example of Sarah. On the surface, her life seemed like a series of unlucky relationships. But in the deeper layers of her quantum consciousness, the command "love leaves" had become a core frequency. The quantum field responded with perfect accuracy. The pattern wasn't punishment, it was repetition. And repetition is always an invitation to awareness. The moment she realized the fear beneath her behavior, the script began to loosen. This is what trauma healing looks like in a reality built from energy and information. Your awakening is not about escaping pain, it's about understanding its source so you can finally raise your vibration beyond it. If this resonates with your experience, I invite you to engage consciously with this channel. Like the video, subscribe, and share in the comments what patterns you've noticed in your own life, not as a ritual of support, but as an act of coherence. Your voice strengthens the field of this community, and your presence helps others recognize themselves in these conversations. When you interact, you reinforce the signal that you are here to expand your consciousness and reshape your inner code. Stay close, because the next part will take us into the mechanics of how your vibration communicates with the quantum field, and how subtle shifts inside you begin to alter the structure of your reality in ways you may have felt but never fully understood. Because once you begin to sense how the field responds to you, the idea of being powerless dissolves. The simulation is not an external machine trapping you. It is an interface responding to the vibration you carry into each moment. And the shift begins in the smallest space possible, your perception. Every time you catch yourself reacting from an old wound, every time you notice a familiar tightening in your chest, every time a pattern repeats, and instead of collapsing into it, you pause. Even for a breath, you interrupt the script. That interruption is not symbolic. It is energetic. It marks the moment your conscientia quantica stops running on autopilot and begins engaging with the campo quantico deliberately. That single spark of awareness is what destabilizes the old code and opens the doorway to something new. When Sarah chose to stay present instead of fleeing from connection, it wasn't the external situation that changed first. It was the internal frequency she broadcasted. That frequency carried information. It told the field she was no longer aligned with abandonment. It told her mente subconsciente that the old command no longer represented safety. And because reality is a relational phenomenon between consciousness and energy, the world around her adjusted. She began noticing different people, different opportunities, different timelines forming subtly around her choices. What looked like luck from the outside was really coherence forming on the inside. This is how expansion to conscientia unfolds, not in grand mystical moments, but in the steady recalibration of your perception and vibration. The hidden architecture of your life becomes visible when you approach your patterns with curiosity instead of shame. Each fear reveals a frequency. Each trigger reveals a belief. Each repeated experience is a clue pointing toward the vibration that has been shaping your reality occulta without your permission. But as you bring awareness to these layers, the simulation bends, not dramatically at first, but unmistakably. You notice synchronicities increasing, emotion stabilizing, opportunities emerging in ways you once dismissed as coincidence. Your energy interacts differently with the field, and the field mirrors that change with precision. This is the quiet beginning of awakening, the moment the internal and external begin to harmonize. And this is where your journey starts to deepen. Because once you recognize that perception is participation, that consciousness creates a measurable effect on the structure of reality, the question is no longer whether you can bend the simulation. The question becomes how far you are willing to go. You are standing at the threshold between who you have been and who you are becoming, and what comes next depends on your commitment to observe yourself with honesty, to adjust your frequency with intention, to treat your inner world as the creative engine it truly is. Before we move into the next stage, I want to invite you to anchor this moment. If something in this message resonates with your experience, if you feel the shift, the recognition, the subtle expansion, take a moment to comment below. Use words that reflect your own emergence. I awaken, I see beyond, I am expanding, or any phrase that carries your truth. Your voice strengthens this field, and your presence helps others navigate their own awakening. And as we continue, remember, the next video will take you further into the mechanics of conscious creation, the point where your entire life begins to reorganize around a new level of awareness. Stay connected, because what comes next will change the way you understand your reality forever. Now, if anything in this video resonated with you, even subtly, don't drift back into autopilot. Stay conscious of the part of you that was awakened here. First, go to the comments and answer one question. What was your biggest glitch in the matrix moment? That one experience that made you pause and think, reality shouldn't work like this. When you share your story, two things happen at the same time. You signal to the algorithm that this conversation matters and should reach others who are searching for the same truth. And you signal to your own nervous system that you're not alone in this awakening, that your expansion is valid and real. Next, if you want more content about quantum consciousness, the holographic universe, the subconscious mind, and the hidden architecture of reality, tap like and subscribe. It's a simple act, but it anchors your intention and ensures you don't miss the next video in this series. Your whole life changes. When you understand this, get ready. It's the direct continuation of what you started unlocking today. And finally, if someone in your life is struggling with anxiety, burnout, or a spiritual awakening they can't explain, share this video with them. One piece of clarity can shift the entire direction of a person's simulation. Stay aware, stay expanding. This journey is only beginning.